The first article calls out a very interesting topic, that being alcohol-related birth defects. This particular study is going to help change the conversation around alcohol-related birth defects, with the historical emphasis being placed almost solely on maternal responsibility. Really, up to this point, there's not been much of any consideration given to male alcohol use when couples are trying to conceive, or when a potentially alcohol-related birth defect is being considered in a child by a clinician. This study is telling us that male alcohol consumption around the time of conception does in fact matter. This study was published out of Texas A&M in the Journal of Andrology and was titled "Alterations in Sperm RNAs Persist After Alcohol Cessation and Correlate with Epididymal Mitochondrial Dysfunction." That's a mouthful. The results of this study suggest that men should abstain from drinking at least 3 months prior to conceiving. What the authors found was that it takes much longer than previously believed, longer than 1 month actually, for the effects of moderate alcohol consumption to leave a father's sperm. Now, I do have to note that this study was conducted using an animal model and then extrapolating to human outcomes while using approximate human equivalent dosing for alcohol consumption in mice. It turns out that if you're a regular alcohol consumer, when you stop drinking, the liver is still experiencing similar stress responses from the drinking time period. This, in theory, sends a signal through the rest of the male body that even impacts the reproductive system, essentially communicating to the body, hey, this environment's very stressful, and so we need to help program our children to be able to adapt to that environment. Because of this, sperm seems to develop an adaptation that we would term a maladaptation. In other words, an adaptation that results in unfavorable consequences. In this case, adaptations that a male's sperm make might increase the risk for something like fetal alcohol syndrome. Actually, this same research group previously showed that drinking habits of the father before conception can harm fetal development, with semen from men impacting fetal alcohol syndrome, brain defects, and in vitro fertilization outcomes. The concept that paternal alcohol consumption as a stressor can cause changes to male physiology that affect a fetus is not a new concept. It involves the idea that environmental factors or stressors like the stress imposed from alcohol consumption can cause changes in an organism that are then passed down to subsequent generations. This is called the transgenerational effect. Now, for a practical takeaway, the model they use would suggest that having 3 to 4 drinks regularly can induce these negative changes in male sperm. Because sperm are made over the course of 90 days, and it takes 1 month for the negative impacts of regular alcohol consumption to leave the sperm, the researchers suggest that 3 months of alcohol abstinence prior to planned conception is wise. Now you might ask, what does drinking regularly look like? And fair enough. The CDC states that regular drinking looks like 3 to 14 drinks per average per week for men. As a practical guideline, falling underneath this limit, then ceasing alcohol consumption 3 months prior to trying to conceive seems like a reasonable recommendation.